Thanks for joining us for 5 on 5. I'm Joe Sullivan. Pleased to be joined today by Lisa Mensah, President and CEO of the Oregon Community Foundation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
For the viewers who don't know, just tell us about the Oregon Community Foundation.
So we are Oregon's resource for giving. We've been around for 52 years. We've built up from a little fund of $60,000 to now managing the resources of over $4 billion, and it's all dedicated to doing good in our state and beyond.
Where did this all start?
You know, it started with families who cared about our state, who wanted to give back, and that's still what we're doing. And our secret sauce is that we're for all of Oregon. All regions, all 36 counties. Our givers come from all counties, and so do our recipients.
I imagine this is pretty impressive how far it's come from when it started,
Yeah,
right?
It is. And it wouldn't have been possible without lots and lots of donations, lots and lots of people who made this happen. We've got real roots in Southern Oregon here, so it's always fun for me to come back.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you here. Talk about the love letter to the arts with the $21 million gift.
Yeah. So the pandemic was tough on our arts organizations, and I don't have to tell anyone sitting here in Southern Oregon how critical our arts and culture organizations are, not just for our spirits, but for our economy. And we decided to do a historic set of gifts of $21 million. We were joined by the Miller Foundation and by the state of Oregon. And we said our arts organizations need to come through this pandemic. They shouldn't just keep the lights on, they've got to thrive. And so we made a set of grants both to anchor institutions like the Shakespeare Festival, but importantly, we dedicated $8 million of that to smaller and mid-sized arts organizations. So it's been a tremendous time for us to both support our big anchors and also to help so many arts organizations across this state.
OCF has funded a number of healthcare initiatives, talking about the rural areas and how important healthcare is to those healthcare providers to the rural areas.
Yeah, this is so important to me. I've spent most of my career thinking about rural America. And rural Oregon, which is most of Oregon, is, you know, part of why we love our place. And places don't work when they don't have good services. That's about broadband and that's about water, but it's also about services like our hospitals, our clinics, the people who can help us to live good lives. So we are so happy to be a kind of funder that can support much of the nonprofit community, much of the service providers, and that is true about our rural areas.
That is so important and such good work. All right, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with part 2 of our 5 on 5. Welcome back to part 2 of our 5 on 5. Lisa, you were in town over the weekend for the celebration of life for Bill Thorndike. He meant so much locally as well as nationally, right?
Yes. He was a treasure for our state, and he hailed right here from our Medford area. Bill welcomed me. He was one of the youngest board chairs ever of the Oregon Community Foundation, and that was just one of his many, many, many legacies. So it was a tremendous group gathered at Southern Oregon University to celebrate his life and accomplishments. And I think what stood out for me is it was a very loving room that represented Bill's spirit. And Deanne Everson of the United Way here in Jackson County said, our job is not to ask what would Bill do, but what will I do? And I think we all left that room feeling that we must carry on the spirit of this tremendous, amazing man who left us too soon.
Meant a lot to so many people in this state and around our country. Yeah. We've talked about several issues here. Is there anything else you'd like our viewers to know about?
Yeah. I feel inspired by Bill's life to say there is so much more that we can do together. Bill was a bridge builder. He was beyond political allegiance. He volunteered from a metal fabrication company. He built a legacy of service to the state and to this region. And I think what I want to say is that that doesn't have to end. I lead a foundation that welcomes all, that builds bridges, and we need to continue this spirit of volunteering, So call us if you're interested in volunteering, if you're interested in giving, if you're interested in just being part of making this state and this country better.
Why don't you give us a website and a phone number for those people who want to get involved?
I hope you will have that on the line. I don't have
You
that.
can see it right now. We're gonna,
I don't memorize the phone number,
Lisa,
but it's
we're going to
easy.
put it in. We'll
Thank
edit
you,
it right
Joe.
now. You can see it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much
much
for stopping by. I appreciate it and the good work that you do.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with some more local news after this quick break.